Okay, hello everybody. So again, we're going to talk about absolute value equations. So just to kind of review the steps or the process for solving an absolute value equation is the first thing you need to do is you need to isolate the absolute value. So anything that's outside those vertical lines, you need to move them. If they're adding, you subtract. If they're multiplying, you divide. If they're dividing, you multiply. If they're subtracting, you add. All those things. If it's inside the absolute value, you leave it alone. You don't touch inside. Just anything that's outside the absolute value on the same side of the equal sign. Okay? Then, after you have the absolute value by itself, you look at what it's equal to. If it's equal to a positive number, that's where you drop the absolute value and split it into two possibilities, the positive and the negative possibility. So like absolute value of x plus 2 equals 2 would become x plus 2 equals positive 2, and x plus 2 equals negative 2. And you would get two answers, right? So positive number is two solutions. If it is equal to 0, you just drop the absolute value and solve, because 0 is already on 0, and that's what absolute value means, right? It's the distance from 0. So there's only one possible number that has a distance of 0 from 0, and it's 0. How many times can I say 0 in a minute's time? Can I go for the record? 0. Okay. 0. Okay, sorry, enough. So, absolute value of x plus 2 equals 0, you just drop the absolute value and solve it, right? X plus 2 equals 0, and that's a one solution. If you have your absolute value by itself and it's equal to a negative number, you cannot have a negative distance, so that's not possible. So you're done. This is just a no solution. So no work involved, just understanding that if it's equal to a negative number, you're done. Again, after you've isolated it, because there's a lot of times that like you might have something like absolute value, right, an example. So if I have like the absolute value of x plus 2 minus 4 is equal to a negative 2, hey, it's equal to a negative number, but absolute value isn't by itself, right? When I add the 4, it becomes absolute value of x plus 2 equals positive 2. So yes, that would have two solutions, right? That's why we wait until after we've isolated to do the check. So that's why that's the first step. Circled number 1 indeed. Okay, let's look at some examples. So we're going to have some two steps inside our absolute values today, which we've kind of done already, but not with anything outside of it. So again, we're going to do our check. If it's positive, you split it. If it's 0, you just solve and you get one solution. And if it's negative, you don't do anything because you're done. It's no solution. After you've isolated it, right? So let's zoom in here a little bit. Okay. So look at this. We've got a negative 2 in front, and it is multiplying, right? If it was adding, you'd see a plus sign there. When you got things right next to something, you are multiplying. And no, you can't distribute into an absolute value. So to get rid of something multiplying an absolute value, you have to divide it to the other side. So we're going to have to divide by negative 2 to both sides. Now, when we divide by negative 2, it cancels out here. You're left with the absolute value of 7n minus 8 is equal to negative 22. So the absolute value is by itself. It's equal to a negative number. If it's equal to a negative number, there is no solution. So I don't do anything else. I'm done. There is no solution to that. This should be like your favorite problem because this is less work, right? Okay. This one is dividing by 2. So to get rid of that divide by 2, you'd have to multiply by 2. Multiply by 2 gives the absolute value of 8x minus 4 is equal to 6. And then it's all by itself. It's equal to a positive number. So if it's equal to a positive number, this is where you split it into the positive and negative possibilities, and there are two solutions. So 8x minus 4 could equal positive 6, or 8x minus 4 could equal negative 6. Both of those have the absolute value of positive 6. So we got to solve for both. So we're going to add 4 to both sides, which gives you 8x is equal to 10, and 8x is equal to negative 2. and then you would divide by 8, and they're both decimals, which you guys all love getting decimals, right? And I have misplaced my calculator. There it is. So x could equal 10 divided by 8 is 1.25, or x could equal negative 2 divided by 8 is negative 0.25. And that would be your answers. Okay. Same thing's happening here. It's dividing by 6 outside the absolute value, so you have to multiply by 6 before you can do anything. So absolute value of 2n plus 8 is equal to negative 24. Absolute value is all by itself. It's equal to a negative number. If it's equal to a negative number, you're done because there's no solution. No solution. Okay. Next one, we have a minus 4 outside the absolute value, so we need to get rid of that first. So we'd add 4. Gives me the absolute value of negative 4a minus 8 is equal to 20. Okay. Now the absolute value is all by itself. It's equal to a positive number. Positive number, I'm going to split into a positive negative possibility, and I'm going to get 2 solutions. So I drop the absolute value, and I'd have negative 4a minus 8 is equal to 20, and negative 4a minus 8 is equal to negative 20. And then I would just solve the 2 steps. So I'd add 8, gives me negative 4a is equal to 28, and negative 4a is equal to negative 12. Divide by the negative 4. And I'm going to get a is equal to negative 7, or a is equal to positive 3. And that would be my 2 answers. Okay. Not too tough, right? This one has a plus 6, so I have to minus 6 to get it away from the absolute value. So absolute value of 10n plus 1 is equal to negative 89. Now, absolute value is all by itself. It's equal to a negative number. If it's equal to a negative number, it is a no solution, right? So, no more work involved. No solution. Okay. All I do is minus 6. Okay, let's look at some more examples. So, on the back here. So I have a minus 1 outside the absolute value. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides to get rid of it. Gives me the absolute value of negative 5x minus 3 is equal to 3. Okay. It's equal to a positive number. So again, positive, I split it into 2 equations. So negative 5x minus 3 could equal positive 3, or negative 5x minus 3 could equal negative 3. I don't know which one it is, so I solve for both. So I'd add 3 to both sides. And I'm going to get a decimal on one of these. So negative 5x could equal 6, or negative 5x could equal 0. So then you divide by negative 5. And it's either going to be 0, or it's going to be a decimal. 6 divided by negative 5 is negative 1.2. And that would be my 2 answers. Okay. The next one is dividing by 3. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. So it cancels out here, leaving absolute value of 5 plus x is equal to 15. It's equal to a positive number, so I have to split it into 2. So 5 plus x could equal positive 15. 5 plus x could equal negative 15. And then it's just a one-stepper. I would just minus the 5. And x could equal 10, or x could equal negative 20. And that would be your 2 answers. Yeah. Next one. It's dividing by 10, so I have to multiply by 10 to get the absolute value by itself. So it cancels out. Absolute value of 5n plus 9 is equal to 0. Absolute value by itself, it's equal to 0. That means that there is one solution, right? You just drop the absolute value and solve the one equation that's there. So 5n plus 9 is equal to 0. So you'd minus 9, this is going to be a decimal, everybody's favorite. Negative 9, so then you divide by 5. And negative 9 divided by 5 is negative 1.8. Okay. There it is. Okay, two more. Number 18 is minusing 1, so you'd have to add 1 to get it all by itself. So absolute value of 3n plus 8 is equal to 35. Now it's equal to a positive number, so you have to split it. 3n plus 8 could equal positive 35, or 3n plus 8 could equal negative 35. And then you just minus the 8 to both sides. Minus the 8, right? Get rid of the add subtract first. Gives you 3n is equal to 27. And 3n is equal to negative 43. And then you would divide by 3. And n is going to equal either positive 9 or n is going to equal a decimal. Negative 43 divided by 3 is negative 14.3 repeating. And on your quiz, you just write that as like negative 14.3. You don't need to write a million threes. All right, and last one. So this one, the 7 is multiplying, right? So to get rid of it, I have to divide by 7. So 63 divided by 7 is 9. So the absolute value of x plus 1 is going to equal 9. That's a positive number, so I split it into two possibilities. So x plus 1 could equal 9, or x plus 1 could equal negative 9. And then to solve those, you would minus 1. And you would get either 8, or you would get negative 10 as your possible answers. Not too tough, right? Okay, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, jokes, whatever you got, let us know. We're here to help. Just let us know if you have any questions. Okay, we'll see you out there.